-1 to Abraham. It's a muted mic.
We're gonna have to try this one more time. Welcome back to the Rundown Podcast. My name is Abe Hicks, joined by my main man, Dylan Kearns. We are back better than ever. It is almost the end of the baseball season. Postseason baseball is right around the corner. And I also would be lying to you if I told you that we didn't try this intro like 5 times before we got it right. But other than that, Dylan, how you doing, man?
Yeah, we a little bit of troubleshooting on this end. We've tried it. The mics didn't sound good, so we wanted to make sure that it was still the top quality that we bring every single time. So we had to check and make sure that everything was good, but here we are. So we're finally there. Dog days of August are coming to an end. The September race for divisions and pushes for the postseason are about to commence. So very exciting about those times. And baseball is just fun this time of year. You're finally getting these games mean more, and you're going to think back to those random games in May that you may have dropped that could prove vital right now.
Yeah, no doubt. And we're definitely going to get into a lot of that, especially games meaning a lot for certain teams. Mainly talking about the AL Central. We're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about Oneil Cruz, the Houston Astros. They're back like they never left. And but starting off our show, we're going to talk about the 2 heavy hitters in baseball right now. The 2 go-tos, Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. I mean, start off with Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is having a historic year. So is Shohei Ohtani. But for this discussion specifically, what we want to talk about, what is more impressive? Aaron Judge getting to 63 home runs or Shohei Ohtani having a 50-50 season? Dylan, you kick that off.
I'm going to go with Ohtani, and here's why. 50-50 has never been done in baseball. And Aaron Judge, here's why. I mean, maybe it kind of gets stale when I look at it this way. Aaron Judge has had high home run totals. Giancarlo Stanton has had high home run totals. It's a lot easier nowadays, and there's nothing to discredit the performance that these guys have been putting up, especially Aaron Judge with his high home run totals. But you look at a Shohei Ohtani. This is a pitcher, too, by the way. This is a pitcher who's about to become the first player in baseball history with 50 homers and 50 stolen bases. Come on. Like, that's crazy talk. So you're looking at someone who is literally a starting pitcher. He has, pitched to sub-3 ERAs before, and he's about to have the first 50-50 season in MLB history. So, he's on track. He could get it, but that's more impressive than anything. I think Aaron Judge, he's a power hitter. You've seen guys in the past like Barry Bonds. Obviously, he had his PEDs and a lot of needles going on there. But you look at like Judge, he hits home runs, and that's what he's good at, and he's hitting for average this year as well. But 50-50 from a starting pitcher is just bogus.
I'm right there with you. And maybe that sounds a little surprising because I'm a Yankees homer. But like you said, I'm not don't want to discredit anything Aaron Judge has done this year. He's having a historic year. Probably he's going to run away with the MVP. One of the best seasons we have seen from a right-handed hitter. Not even a right-handed hitter, a hitter of all time in the game's history. But for this specific question, Shohei Ohtani, if he gets a 50-50 season, that is far more impressive to me. Like you said, that has never been done in the history of baseball. 50 home runs and 50 steals. He's going to win the MVP again, this time in the NL. There's only been one player in the history of the game to win an MVP in both leagues, Frank Robinson. Shohei Ohtani is going to be joining him here in a few months. Ohtani's in rarefied air. Both of these guys are definitely must-watch television. You stop what you're doing when you get a notification when one of these 2 guys are up the bat. But we've seen players hit 60 home runs multiple times. Sammy Sosa did it 4 times, right? Whether it was clean or not, it's been done before. And Aaron Judge has done it before. But nobody has ever completed a 50-50 season. And that is otherworldly to me.
Here's another note on Ohtani. No, there hasn't been a DH to win the MVP award. And he's about to it's not even close. Like the next closest for MVP, according to FanDuel, Francisco Lindor at plus 750. That means $10 wins 75 just on the other guy to win. So I mean, it's a runaway right now. Ohtani and Judge as the MVPs, and I know I look like a complete idiot making my case for Bobby Witt a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I'm just stupid. But I mean, you're looking at the rest of it. Like Ohtani this is just impressive and glorified air that he's in right now, and it's just crazy to think that he can go over to a new league, not pitch at all this year, become a full-time DH, and put up a year like this. It's nuts. And to your point about the appointment television, last night Aaron Judge was in a spot, bases loaded, 4-0 game, and I'm like, uh-oh. If they pitch to him, they're stupid. And I mean, he popped out, but I was
hard.
I know.
CJ Abrams.
I was like, that's one of those moments where you're like, yeah, this star is up. You cannot look away.
Yeah, and I know, to me, Aaron Judge is having a better year than Ohtani. Aaron Judge has WRC plus, like 40 points higher than Shohei Ohtani. Like, Aaron Judge's season so far has been out of this world. And he didn't even have an April. His April was awful. Just imagine if he had a good April, he would be challenging Barry Bonds for 73 home runs, without a doubt. But for this question specifically, if Ohtani gets 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases, we've never seen that before. Go along with winning MVPs in both leagues. That's impressive to me. That is very impressive to me. All right, moving on to our next topic here. There's a former shortstop now, who has been impressive since being called up for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Oneil Cruz, that front office there in Pittsburgh, has said, hey, we're going to make a change. We're going to move you to center field. Obviously, at first, he didn't take it the greatest, but a lot of people around baseball felt like this was a move, long time coming. Dylan, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you can't make 23 errors as a starting shortstop. He's second in baseball in errors. It can't happen. He's a big body at short, and he's got that that strong throwing arm. And I think in the outfield, that arm's going to work. He's going to gun down a lot of base runners. He has decent speed. I think he can get to the gaps. Like he's someone that I think profiles better in the outfield. And we've seen it happen with Fernando Tatis. Like he was someone that struggled defensively at shortstop. And they had other options too there. And that's something the Pirates do too. They traded for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and he's someone that can just sit right there at shortstop and play. He's always got that great glove. So Cruz moves to center field. I like his arm. I think he can get to the gaps. It's going to be a transition for sure. I think in September, the Pirates, unfortunately, their collapse, their bullpen and other factors have kind of put them out of their postseason window in terms of this season. So I think they'll shut down Skeens. I think this is kind of a building year right now for the younger players on the team. Oneil Cruz in center can give him more reps in big league action for that.
Yeah, we are definitely in total agreement here. It's the right move by the Pirates. Oneil Cruz is a 6'7", the 6'7" playing shortstop. That within itself has limitations playing that position. He showed flashes of how his size can be a net positive at shortstop, but like you said, he has the second most errors in baseball with 23 or 24, whatever it is. So at shortstop, you need consistency, and Cruz wasn't giving the Pirates that. It just was not sustainable for him. The main question is why make this move now with one more month of baseball left? That's an easy answer. The Pirates are they're not going anywhere. They're last in the division, 10 games out of the wild card spot. The season is essentially over for the Pirates. The Pirates want to say, Ben Cherington, not front office, they want to say, hey, they want to see if Cruz can play center field because that can address how they attack this upcoming offseason. It's a valid and good move for the Pirates, but I think at that size, with his speed, with his arm, it seems like a more suitable fit being in the outfield.
I agree. That's definitely the way to go. I think it profiles better for him too. Like I said, the Tatis example kind of really was a success right there. Yeah.
Moving on. That was really good. All right, moving on from talking about an NL Central team, going to the AL Central team. I guess not a team. We're just going to talk about the AL Central as a whole. It's really, really tight there in the AL Central. The Kansas City Royals are tied with the Cleveland Guardians. The Minnesota Twins are right behind, and the Detroit Tigers have been playing some hot baseball lately. What do you think happens with the AL Central?
It pains me to say, and I'll be open about it. I'll be open saying that I think the I think I want the Royals to win the division. Just from an underdog standpoint. Coming into the year, they had high expectations. They made some great trades, some great acquisitions. You look at a Seth Lugo, great to go. Cole Reagan's there. Bobby Witt's been exceptional. Salvador Perez, you can build the statue already. He's already won a World Series for him. He's just an absolute beast of a backstop back there. But I want to get into the schedules going forward, because that's really what you got to look at here. Down the stretch, some teams are going to be playing for we mentioned for divisions and stuff like that. So looking at the Guardians coming up, this is why I think the Guardians will end up holding on. And they've collapsed. Stephen Kwan has been abysmal. This was a guy that was hitting around 360 near the All-Star break. He's now at under 300. I mean, he has been horrid at the plate, absolutely disgusting in terms of what he brings to the table there. The Guardians, they go Pirates, Royals. So that's a big one to watch right there. A 3-game set in Kansas City. They go Dodgers, White Sox, Rays, Twins, Cardinals, Reds, Astros to end the year. And then you look over at the Royals side, and they have a kind of a gauntlet. They go right here in September. They got Astros, Guardians, we mentioned. Then they got the Twins at Yankees, Pirates, Tigers, Giants, Nationals, Braves. So that's kind of some hard teams there. You mix in the Yankees and Braves with a couple divisional opponents. Those are going to be what comes down. Those games are going to decide your fate in terms of that division. The Twins side, they're playing the Braves right now. They got the Blue Jays. Then they got the Rays, Royals, Angels, Reds, Guardians, Red Sox, Marlins, Orioles. So I think the Twins and the Guardians have a better setup in terms of who they have to play to end the year. But I think the Royals, I mean, they've impressed everybody with what they've been able to do. So if they take 2 out of 3 against a Yankee, if they take 2 out of 3 against the Guardians or Twins, I would not be surprised. I think right now we can really look at this team and not be surprised with anything they do.
Yeah, this is honestly such a toss-up. It's a dogfight atop the AL Central standings. But I still have hope in the Cleveland Guardians. They've been struggling lately. The Guards are 3-7 in the last 10 games. But they've also ran into some top-tier pitching since the All-Star break. And I believe in the core guys on that team that have postseason experience. Talking J-Ram, Josh Naylor, Andres Jimenez, Stephen Kwan. But can the pitching hold up? That's the question. That rotation, to me, is a little iffy. Who's the number 1 right now? Tanner Bibby? I mean, so the rotation is definitely a question mark. But what is certain is that bullpen in Cleveland. Emmanuel Clase, Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith. That bullpen is going to have to keep up their dominance to put this team in the postseason and possibly claim an AL Central title. But the division will essentially come down to just get in. If you're a team in that division, just get in the playoffs. Let's look at the Texas Rangers from last year. They had a late year slump like Cleveland is having right now, and they were limping into the playoffs. They got hot at the exactly right time. They go in and win a World Series. So anything can happen as long as you get in to any of these AL Central teams.
That's a great point. And to piggyback off of that and looking at this Central Division, I think with the Guardians, it's kind of sad. I mean, obviously, they've still been a fantastic team this year and have exceeded all expectations coming into a year. But you remember the start Shane Bieber got off to in April? Like, he was shoving for like 3 starts, and then, Tommy John. And Tristan McKenzie was coming back from injury. He's almost lost it. Like, he's lost all of it. He's healthy, and he's pitching in AAA right now for Columbus. Yeah. So those are 2 guys that you were really counting on. And then the young guys, the Logan Allens, the Gavin Williams, they had enough there to where they can get there. But I think those guys are kind of seeing a second-year slump, and then it's kind of hard to piece together. I mean, heck, they had to sign Matthew Boyd, and give him a couple starts. So it's definitely problems right now for the Guardians in terms of what are they going to do come postseason play, because I don't think that rotation can win them a series, even if they win the division. I mean, that was something when the last time they made the playoffs, they relied on it. They won that 1-0 18-inning game against the Rays to move on, and they struggled to score runs against the Yankees and the DS that year. I mean, it's just I worry about their pitching staff, because that's something that whenever they get to the playoffs, they always rely on that, and I don't think they can.
What do you think of the Minnesota Twins? Do you think that offense can get enough hits?
I don't.
Or just right now?
I mean, they can't play in October anyway.
I was about to say
That's their problem. Like even if they get there, I don't think they'll ever be able to win a series right now, given the way that they're set up and their history of troubles when it comes to that game. But I will say, I'll go on record saying this: the Royals may not win the division, but I think they make it the farthest in the postseason at anyone in this division, strictly because they have a much more concise roster. You can trust a starting pitcher. You can't trust a starting pitcher right now for the Guardians. I don't think the Twins can get enough hits. I think the Royals, with their offense and with the pitchers that they have, I think you trust a Seth Lugo, you trust Cole Reagans, you trust those are guys that you can give the ball to and say, hey, go win me a game. And I think they can. And they have a superstar. Is Steven Kwan a superstar? Jose Ramirez he's one of the most underrated players in baseball. But I think Bobby Witt's a game changer in terms of all three of these teams. And no one has a player like Bobby Witt. And no one has a leader like Salvador Perez, who has been in that stage.
Great.
This is a very similar team to 2015, where they have a underdog mentality. No one expects them. And that 2014 came out of nowhere. And they made it to the World Series. They lost, but they made it back the following year and won. So I think this is something that the Royals can really, really do this year. I would not be surprised if they are in a championship series.
That's one of your best takes. That's definitely. I'm gonna have to clip that and put that on the socials. But no, you said it, game changer. They have a game changer of Bobby Witt Jr. So I'm definitely eager to see how this ends. What do you think about the Tigers? Tigers are only I believe 6 games out of the wild card. They've been playing hot lately, or do you think this is just a hot run in August?
They do this every year with Hinch. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to blame the manager because that team is horrid. He hasn't had an offense as he's stepped into that managerial spot. But they did it last year. They give you false hope going into a new year, and you're like, all right, maybe the Tigers can bring it. No, Tigers are going to be the Tigers. They're never going to get above third in the division. They're going to sit there. They're going to twiddle their thumbs. They're going to overpay bad players, and they're not going to win baseball games. So they called up a couple guys. Jace Young made his debut. You got Colt Keith. They brought Torkelson back up, but I don't think it matters. I don't think that they're going to be playing for anything.
Yeah, so speaking of A.J. Hinch, we're going to now talk about his former team down in Houston. Dylan, why do we doubt the Houston Astros? Early in the season, everybody wrote them off. To me, the Astros are very similar to the New England Patriots during their dynasty run. If you remember, the Patriots had awful starts to their season. Their Septembers were horrendous, and everybody in the media would write them off and claim their dynasty run is over effective immediately. And then what would happen? They would end up in a conference championship or in the Super Bowl. That is literally the Astros this year. The Astros are responsible for the Mariners firing their manager, Scott Servais. The Astros were 6.5 games back at the end of May. You blink, and now they're 3.5 games ahead in the AL West. This team is dangerous once October comes because I don't think they are the best team in the AL, but they are the most feared team in the AL. The Yankees and Orioles fear the Astros the most. They have the most postseason experience. They know what it takes to get to a World Series, and boy, no team in the AL wants to see Houston, specifically New York or Baltimore.
Yeah, you look at these two, you look at the Houston Astros, and to your point about Scott Servais, I think that was all him. I mean, Jerry DiPoto, year after year, just made great. He got the Mariners ready, and Servais could not take them over the hump. I mean, how do you not win with that roster that you have right there? So I think that's all on Scott Servais. But the Astros, the Astros are just playing ball. If the Mariners win half the games that they lost, there were some bad losses for the Mariners. They couldn't hit baseballs, and that led to some of their struggles.
Hey, how you remember the Patriots run? Everybody in the NFC or the AFC East was incompetent. New England took advantage of that. That's exactly what Houston does. They take advantage of the lack of quality clubs in that division. They're doing their job. Boom, they're in the ALCS every year.
But to be fair, someone in that division won a World Series last year, so I can't crush it. But in terms of this season,
But the Rangers played the Astros in the ALCS.
Right. So they met up in that. But I do think looking at the Astros, they do it different. They win ball games. And how about Joe Espada taking over as manager? You saw Dusty get his ring and get out of there, and then Dusty was done. So this is Joe Espada leading these Astros now, and they're 9 games over 500. They just whooped the Phillies, and I really think he's making an impact, because this is a manager down the stretch that's starting to win baseball games. He started out slow, and you're like, all right, Dusty, Hinch, the old guys. No, Espada's been in that clubhouse. He's been the bench coach under A.J. Hinch when they won in 17. He's been in that clubhouse with Dusty Baker and a part of it. So he knows the Astros way. And right now they're winning baseball games. And that rotation's looking better. The younger guys that they needed to step up, Eric Eddy, he's been sub-3 over his past 7 starts, and he's someone that came up and struggled. But they just kept giving him the baseball because they didn't have any other options. So he's pitching well. Framber Valdez pitching well. Ronel Blanco has been a great addition so far this year. He stepped up with some big starts as well. And the offense is starting to come together too. It really turned around when Bregman started hitting the baseball.
Agreed. And he's finally showed up in a contract year. Early in the season, it was like, boy, do they need a bench or some trade for another third baseman down there in Houston? But they figured it out. The rotation has gotten a lot better. The bullpen has gotten a lot better. And who knows, we're probably going to see them end up in the ALCS again. That's just usually how it works.
Yeah, they always do. They find a way to get there.
Yeah.
They always find a way to get there.
Literally. But yeah, so that's all we have for our show today. Really short compared to all other shows. But hey, we'll be right back with content as the season continues to wind down. Please show us support if you like this video, like all of our other content, subscribe. Give us a follow on social media. We're on Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok. Go find us. We're there. We're going to have baseball content for you. Other than that, guys, have a good